December 3rd, 2022, a 27-year-old woman walks into a small-town bar in Parkersburg, West Virginia. She leaves with a man she's just met. That is the last confirmed sighting of Gretchen Fleming. 2 years later, investigators still have more questions than answers. Welcome to the channel. Gretchen Fleming was 27 years old on the night she disappeared. Friends described her as kind-hearted, someone who always had a smile for everyone. That December evening, she told her family she was going out with friends to the My Way Lounge, a local bar in Parkersburg, West Virginia. It was supposed to be an ordinary night, but somewhere between walking through those bar doors and the early morning hours, everything went wrong. Why would a young woman with a whole life ahead of her vanish without a trace? Security footage and witness accounts place Gretchen at the My Way Lounge through the evening of December 3rd, 2022. She was seen socializing, having a good time with people she knew. Then came the early morning hours of December 4th. Surveillance video shows her leaving the bar with a man. He becomes the key figure in this mystery. Yet here is the problem. Authorities have never officially named him a person of interest. If he knows something, why hasn't he been charged? The man Gretchen left with was identified as Preston Pierce. Here is where the story takes an even stranger turn. Preston Pierce used to be a police officer in several West Virginia cities. He worked in law enforcement in multiple towns across the state. He also once went by a different name, Daryl Lott. That's the first major red flag in this case. Why would a former cop be using an alias? And that's where it gets strange. He told investigators one thing, then stopped talking entirely. What is he hiding? In the days after Gretchen disappeared, investigators interviewed Preston Pierce. Initially, he told them that yes, Gretchen had been in his car that night. Those were his exact words, she was in his car. But when detectives pressed for more details, for location, for timeline, for anything else, Pierce went silent. He hired a lawyer and stopped cooperating entirely. Yet one detail doesn't fit if he has nothing to hide. Why would he initially admit she was in his car and then abruptly stop speaking? If this detail is true, then he knows far more than he's saying. Where is Gretchen? Gretchen was reported missing on December 12, 2022, nearly a week after she was last seen. Her family grew concerned when they couldn't reach her. She lived alone, and friends said it was unlike her to disappear without contacting anyone. The delay in reporting has puzzled investigators ever since. Could those missing days hold clues? The clock was already ticking. What happened during that lost week? Once Gretchen was reported missing, law enforcement moved quickly. The Parkersburg Police Department, with FBI assistance, began what would become a massive investigation. They searched properties connected to Preston Pierce. They executed warrants on his vehicle. They followed every lead. But despite all of this, there was nothing, no body, no confession, no breakthrough. And that's where the case went cold. Why did the evidence dry up so quickly? In an effort to generate new leads, authorities announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to Gretchen's location and an arrest. It is one of the largest rewards in a West Virginia missing persons case. Yet despite the sizable incentive, no significant tips have surfaced. Pause. Think about that. A six-figure sum and still silence. What does that tell us about fear in this small community? As December 2024 marked nearly 2 years since Gretchen vanished, investigators remained as determined as ever. The police chief stated publicly that the case is, quote, not even close to cold. That is unusual language for a case with no body and no charges. There is something happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. The investigation continues to crawl forward. But 2 years without answers raises an unbearable question. Will Gretchen's family ever get closure? November 2024 brought new activity in the case. Law enforcement executed another search warrant at a residence on Division Street in Parkersburg, the same location searched in January 2023, just weeks after Gretchen's disappearance. The FBI assisted, yet authorities offered no new information to the public. Yet one detail doesn't fit. If this search yielded significant evidence, why the continued secrecy? If this detail is true, then investigators believe they're close to answers. What did they find? Let's review the facts investigators have confirmed. Gretchen Fleming, age 27, was last seen leaving the My Way Lounge on December 3rd or 4th, 2022. She left with Preston Pierce, a former police officer who previously used the name Daryl Lott. Pierce initially said Gretchen was in his car, then hired a lawyer and stopped cooperating. Multiple searches of his properties have yielded no results. A $100,000 reward stands unclaimed. And yet, no body, no charges, no answers. How is this possible? Without official answers, the public has speculated wildly. Some believe Preston Pierce knows exactly what happened to Gretchen, and that authorities have enough to charge him but are building a stronger case. Others wonder if the investigation is missing something entirely. Perhaps someone else was involved. Perhaps there's a second vehicle. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere completely unexpected. Without a body or confession, all theories remain just that, theories. Which one is closest to the truth? Through all of this, Gretchen's family has shown extraordinary strength. They continue to advocate for her, to push investigators to keep her story alive in the media. In statements, police have praised their cooperation and courage during this unimaginably difficult time. The Fleming family deserves answers. They deserve justice. But here's the problem. As time passes, the chances of finding those answers diminish. How long can a family hold on to hope? Parkersburg is a small community, and cases like this leave lasting scars. Locals report a sense of unease that has not lifted since Gretchen disappeared. The bar where she was last seen has changed ownership. Businesses have come and gone, but the memory of a young woman who walked out one night and never returned persists. This case has changed the town forever. What does justice look like for communities still living in fear? Investigators remain committed to solving this case. The FBI continues to assist. Tips continue to come in, though none have produced a breakthrough. As we approach the 2-year anniversary of Gretchen's disappearance, the question becomes, what more can be done? Technology advances, witnesses age, memories fade, but someone somewhere knows what happened to Gretchen Fleming. The question is whether they'll ever come forward. Gretchen Fleming went out for a night of fun in her small West Virginia town. She was 27 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. Somewhere between the bar and morning, she vanished. 2 years later, we have a person of interest who stopped talking, a $100,000 reward no one has claimed, multiple searches that found nothing, and more questions than answers. What happened to Gretchen? Where is she now? And will anyone ever be held accountable? These are the questions that keep her family awake at night. These are the questions that may never be answered, unless you know something, unless you're willing to talk. If you have any information about Gretchen Fleming's disappearance, please contact the Parkersburg Police Department or the FBI. Even the smallest detail could help bring this case home. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more true crime investigations. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this video.